Welcome to Community Church Unitarian Universalist. This is where I normally say it's a joy to be with you this morning, but I'm going to say it's a comfort to be with compassionate, like-minded people this morning. I'm not feeling much joy today. My attempt at balance of news and mental health is a little off. Community Church is a progressive, open-minded, and inclusive religious community. We welcome all who are on a spiritual search for truth and meaning. Please look to your weekly email for announcements. We're delighted to welcome Reverend Stephen Crump to the pulpit this morning, all the way from Baton Rouge on this wet and blustery day. The Reverend Dr. Steve J. Crump, Minister Emeritus of the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge, where he serves as lead minister for 36 years. He is a graduate of the University of Chicago Divinity School and Meadville Lombard Theological School in Chicago. He is also an occasional guest host for the radio show Talk Louisiana, which airs on WRFK, the Baton Rouge Public Radio Station. He will be hosting that show again this Tuesday, January 27th at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. And I'm sure you can find that online, the radio station. I'm sure. It's a new date. It's moved to the 23rd of February. The 23rd of February it will be. Mark your calendars. I have a couple of quick announcements. For those who don't know, there's a demonstration scheduled for this afternoon at 3 p.m. at Lafayette Square. And yes, it will be cold and windy, but not nearly as cold and windy as in Minneapolis. Let me know if you're interested in carpooling. My daughter and I are going for sure. And our second announcement is our friend Rosa, the immigrant mother of 4, is about to have her electricity turned off. She is in need of $200 to keep the lights on and the heat on. So if anyone can help in any way, please see me after the service. We would like to welcome any new and returning visitors today. We hope you'll stay after the service for refreshments and fellowship. In the spirit of fellowship, please turn to your neighbors, especially those you may not know. We've got a few visitors here this morning, and say hello to them.
Do you ring the bell again?
Yeah. It is our ritual to light a chalice. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Our call to worship this morning. We arrive for a new day, for a safe place, for candles to light, including the chalice. We gather for a listening ear, for a welcoming smile, for belonging, for a new beginning. It's still January. For a church that believes in becoming. Yes, no matter what your age, you are still becoming. And so we welcome the stranger, we welcome the guest, we welcome the unfamiliar inside ourselves. Yes, be a friend to the unfamiliar inside yourself. Get to know yourself. Welcome. Life is a path of hospitality. Good morning, everyone.
It is our ritual to light a chalice, invoking hope and eternal truth to our worship. Please join us in singing the words of chalice lighting, printed in your order of service.
You may be familiar with this, one of my favorite poems by Marge Piercy. Marge Piercy's poetry also appears in the rear of your hymn book. This is a long poem, but you probably have heard the words before. It's a fresh reminder for me, maybe for you too. It's entitled The Low Road. The Low Road. What can they do to you? Whatever they want. They can set you up. They can bust you. They can break your fingers. They can burn your brain with electricity. They can blur you with drugs till you can't walk, till you can't remember. They can, sorry to say this, but they can take your children. They can wall up your lover. They can do anything you can't stop them from doing. Well, how can you stop them? Well, alone you can fight, you can refuse, you can take whatever revenge you can, but they probably will roll right over you. But two people fighting back can cut through a mob, do a snake dance, fire. They can break a cordon. You know, termites can bring down a mansion. Two people can keep each other sane. They can give support, conviction, love, massage, hope, sex. Three people are a delegation, a call, a wedge. With four, you can play games and start a collective. With six, you're paying attention. With six, you can rent a whole house and have pie for dinner with no seconds. With 13, well, that makes a circle. 100 fills the hall. 1,000 has solidarity and your own newsletter. 10,000, you have community and your own papers. 100,000, a network of communities. 1 million, that's your world. So you see, it goes one at a time. It starts when you care to act. It starts when you do it again and they say no. It starts when you say we and know who you mean when you say it. And each day you mean one more. Thank you, Marge Piercy, for such good words. I just needed to hear them. I just needed to hear them again today. We have a round, it's 188. I think just for fun, once we get the words, we'll close the hymn book and just have it by memory. So let's sing it in unison a few times. Then we're going to break it up. And after today, you can say, well, that minister from Baton Rouge came and divided our congregation. So, so we split it right down the middle. And we're going to do it right here. So this would be part A. Right here, we go to part B. And so I'll cue you. I don't know what part I'm going to sing. But right now, let's all sing with the choir unison. Come, come, whoever you are. This is roomy. So standing as you are able, let's sing. You may want to sway. Come, come, whoever you are, wonder, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again. And we're going to sing it another time. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of. Get ready now, we're going to split. Caravan of despair.
Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. We did very well. Thank you. Thank you.
Now is our sacred time of joys and sorrows. If you're online, you may write your joys and sorrows in the comments section to be read aloud. In person, you may write them on one of the cards being passed out by our greeters. Please remain seated for hymn number 140, Hail the Glorious Golden City.
To
From Jim, a joy that so many braved the weather to be in community this morning. And a sorrow and anger that ICE continues to terrorize our cities. From Alicia, my friend Susanna is an immigration lawyer in Minneapolis and is visiting those who have been assaulted in ICE custody in the hospital. Please keep her and all the helpers in your thoughts. So grateful for them. Kathy has asked me to announce that if needed, our community lighthouse right here will be open if the power goes out. So, from Liz, a concern, please pray for my daughter, Cindy. She lives in Minneapolis with a brand new baby, a 1-year-old son with RSV, and is very upset, nervous, and afraid to go outside. She looks Hispanic. I worry about her mental health. I'm sorry, I started on the wrong side with that. I lift up my daughter, Cindy, and ask that you okay. From Marianne and Al, a joy celebrating 35 wonderful years of marriage this week. From Jim Harlan, a sorrow for the events in Minneapolis and the efforts of federal officials to have us not believe our own eyes. A joy that we still have elections to change leadership if we work as a community for change. Amen to that. From Marilyn, a sorrow, my very best friend from high school and college roommate has recently been diagnosed with terminal cancer. Please send positive thoughts for her, for sure. From Jada, a joy, my friend Daquana is due to deliver her baby boy this week. Keep hope alive. A joy from Elise, welcome to my friend and fellow Aging Studies PhD candidate, Nusrat Ermi, am I pronouncing that right? Close enough? From Bangladesh, welcome. So glad you're here. Yeah.
So I just wanted to
Come to the mic.
Okay. This is a joy, so Michael Parenti had a spectacular life. If y'all, for those of you who don't know who Michael Parenti is, he was a Yale professor who was kicked out of every university he was ever in for being a socialist, and he died a couple of days ago. But he was very old and he was suffering. But his life was a testament to the amount of glory that a human soul can embody. And I really encourage you guys, he's got so many lectures on YouTube. They're incredibly educational, and not only educational in terms of history, they are educational in terms of how to speak, in that he takes very elaborate theoretical concepts and he can put them into words that you can understand what he's saying. And he brings me so much solace watching his speeches, and I highly encourage you, because they'll be from like the 80s. He'll be talking about Yugoslavia or something, but they're so relevant. All of his analysis, it tracks. It's the exact same analysis. You can just see it's the same thing that's going on now. And I just wanted to say that it was a joy that he was alive, and I highly encourage you to listen to some Michael Parenti speeches if you're feeling down.
We light 2 more candles, one for the joys still bubbling up, too new to share, and one for the sorrows that we cannot yet put into words. Know that we hold you in our hearts. Now let's pause for a moment of silence, recognizing the joys and sorrows of those in our community, spoken and unspoken.
Well, in community, there's always something going on, right? Personal issues. Life goes on. And sometimes we come here to share those. To the extent that we can trust one another, we share with others about what's going on. I'm about to share some more poetry with you. We've been singing poetry, really. Rumi, we sang as a round, that's poetry. And here is another poem from a collection called Standing in the Forest of Being Alive by Katie Ferris. F-A-R-R-I-S, Katie Ferris. She's a professor at Princeton, and she's a professor in creative writing. It's really interesting what she's done. She devoted the entire little booklet of poems about her experience with cancer. She was diagnosed with breast cancer at age 36 and survived to tell the story. But every page is another unfolding drama, an experience about what she faced. Not just the awareness, the diagnosis, the testing, but of course the treatment, and then the recovery, and how to look at oneself and the rest of life, wondering how much life there would be. If not you, you know people who've gone through this kind of thing. But I'm going to share this one poem that's brought to my attention by a rather famous actor who, and I'll tell you about him later, but he left a piece of her poetry in his dressing room as a kind of inspiration before he went on stage. I'll tell you about him later, but the important thing is to hear one of the poems that Katie Ferris wrote about her experience. And I couldn't put it down. It's a quick read, but it's just amazing what she said. And here's one of her poems, Why Write Love Poetry in a Burning World? Now you know the background of her story. And now she appeals to us, our curiosity about that question. Why write love poetry in a burning world? To train myself to find in the midst of hell what isn't hell. The body, bald, cancerous, but still beautiful enough to imagine living the body, washing the body, replacing a loose front porch step, the body chewing what it takes to keep the body going. This scene has a tune, language. I can read a door. I cannot close that door. I stand within its wedge, a shield. And here's the clincher. Why write love poetry in a burning world? To train myself in the midst of a burning world to offer poems of love to a burning world. So that's one of the inspirations in my message to you this morning. If it weren't for this and it weren't for that, things would be better. The world famous Sufi mystic and poet, Rumi. I was thinking about how long ago he lived in the 13th century. You know, if you ask folk in the Western world, one of the most popular non-Western poets, Rumi comes up number one after all of these centuries later. And he casts a tune. We sang a tune, and we love to sing Rumi and kind of sway to it, you know, naturally swaying to that music. It's exactly what he would have loved, since he so embraced the Sufi dancers. In any case, here we are. And I have 2 points today. In January, and it's still a new year, though it may be feeling a little old for a good many of us. Rumi's words have found their way into our hymn book. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Thank you, Rumi. Ours must not be a caravan of despair. No. And I say that aloud, and I say it every day these days, especially to the friends who call me about yet one more headline that I didn't catch. That is more than annoying. It's disgusting. Over some news event that unfolded. You too have had these experiences day after day. And you do the best you can, probably, to not lead yourself in despair if somebody's about ready to go there, say over the phone. You do the best you can to maintain your serenity and go about the business that you need to do from day to day, not only as a citizen, but just as a human being, trying to avoid despair over the nature of society and the world at large. Of course, one sign of hope that I need to mention right at the bat is somebody called you, right, to complain about something. So that's a sign of hope. And sometimes maybe you're the one doing the calling. According to the tradition surrounding Rumi, he had a close friend named Shams, with whom he confided many things. The relationship was warm and friendly, often described as holy. God turns you from one feeling to another and teaches by means of opposites so that you will have 2 wings to fly, not one. That's Rumi. The opposites. 2 wings to fly instead of just one. And of course, there is more Rumi wisdom where that comes from over the centuries, such as love is the religion, the universe is the book. And this one coming up here may be my favorite, underscoring the tone of my message today for point 1. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. If I were making but 2 points in my message this morning, and I told you I am, Rumi makes my first poem. He makes my first point. We must first meet. And then, of course, that implies listening, but meet in our humanness of knowing and not knowing, of our wrong and our right doing. An authentic community will be trusting enough so that we can share confessions as well, right? Our being together this morning is testimony, example of holy meeting, however you want to spell holy. That's fine. I'm thinking also of secular meetings, the demonstrations and the protests and the gathering for voter registration. And a couple of members I talked to just a couple of days ago from your congregation who are here today delivering food. Secular meetings serve a holy purpose. And then I'm thinking, for example, something I've been following on public television, Judy Woodruff's cross-country interviews of Americans who are meeting in interesting places, not so much the big cities, but some of the small towns and villages of America. And she's attempting to connect with the people who are also connecting and conversing despite their political differences. The common theme in these segments that appear in the NewsHour are great interest to me. And I think what's implied in it all is that people must first meet. Not so much for the purpose of persuading the others or debating the others, because they seem not to convince the others. And there's not much debating going on, but they're just meeting. In other words, they're just hearing one another. I'm guessing Judy Woodruff's premise is that in meeting with each other, we accomplish the goals of American citizenship, and I think Rumi would endorse it. So you can see why I thought about Rumi today. In that place where we bring our egos, in that field where we should meet. There is a field, said Rumi, and I will meet you there. Folk who have not lived too long or have not otherwise experienced the grace of meeting an opponent, I say the grace of meeting an opponent, might call Rumi's sentiments naive or sentimental. But if we reflect upon our own experience when we are touched by another, especially maybe when we are so full of ourselves, I should speak for myself, or maybe when we are too empty, when we're really hurting, we come to understand the depth of authentic meeting. And Rumi endorses it. My belief is that a religious outpost, such as a congregation, will have that quality for which there is no substitute, and which artificial intelligence cannot duplicate or replace. Real face-to-face meeting. I think we know it when we see it. I'm thinking that if artificial intelligence grows and develops, and it seems to be doing so by leaps and bounds, our own brains also will grow and build a kind of emotional intelligence and grow in its capacity as well. And I wonder, can we stay at least one or a couple steps of it, of the very stuff that we create? That's my question. You know, it could happen. After a while, we might not be so easily duped or scammed or tricked by the bots. I think there's evidence already that we're not all tricked or duped by the bots. And not too many people have spoken of this. I think few predict it. Let me put it another way. Have we overlooked our own power to smell AI when it's right before us? I think we will grow in our sensory apparatus to kind of suss it out, to suss out the artificiality of things. I don't think we will be inevitably fooled, not inevitably fooled with artificiality. Now, since I was a kid who grew up in Illinois, and all kids have to go to Lincoln's tomb and have to visit his home and basically worship the guy, I always think of Abraham Lincoln. So, here we go. Lincoln said, you can fool some of the people all of the time and all of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all of the time. That's what I'm talking about. This much we know, for the time being, there seems not to be a substitute for the real human being. Consider all the jokes that we humans currently make about AI and all those facsimiles and from the stuff that we create. Oh, look at this. Have you seen this? And we all know it's a game. We all know it's artificiality. We all know it's a joke. Look at this. They can't take that away from me, our humanness. Thank you, Gershwin brothers. I'm subscribing to that philosophy, especially as it relates to my first point. There is no substitute for meeting one-to-one, face-to-face. That's why the church is a holy institution, no matter how you spell the word. and it also has a great future. Here there are full dimensional beings. You don't even have to look around. And that holy quality of meeting is my first point. And I have 2 points today, and I will manage to stick to it because I do have some winterizing back home to do. So I will be moving on. But there is a second point in all this, and I have in mind the lyrics of a pop song, more poetry. A little this and a little that. That's, I got that little title from a rather popular song, which isn't so popular in this country, but it's gotten over 10 million streams in Europe. The song is called A Better World, and you can go to YouTube and watch it. It's a psychedelic, cosmic display. It's really quite interesting. It took me right back to the 1970s. But the song is called A Better World. It's produced by two French DJs, David Guetta and Cedric Jede. And they wrote in so many words, if it wasn't for this and wasn't for that, it could be a better world. And then they list all the things. Well, if it weren't for this, weren't for that, wasn't for that, it would be a better world. There's the money and the power and the superficial things, but love, it's the only thing that matters. A very interesting song, and I can see why it became a popular stream. Love is more than the consolation prize in life. It is the thing that matters and is at the core of meeting one another face to face, stranger and friend. It is at the core of kindness, and it's at the core of showing respect towards others. Thus, the quality of meeting, my second point, the quality of our meeting is always at stake. Our intention, therefore, is critical. And over in your own liturgy, you recall those words. They become very familiar. You've even memorized them. You know how the lyrics go. And it's well that we should remember such words. I regularly read Miss Manners, as one of your former ministers used to read and preach about. And I came upon Miss Manners long after Katie Korp addressed Miss Manners, but I like her wisdom. She often, Miss Manners points out to her readers who ask about rudeness or some slight they've witnessed. Miss Manners often replies with a question that in so many words asks, why would you enlarge rudeness and coarseness by pointing out in public such rudeness and thereby enlarging the offense? She's so good at it. She's so good with those words. Recounting, she believes you shouldn't point out social errors in public, that it just adds another social error when you do that. Recounting evidence of the coarsening of our culture needs no time from me this morning. You could make a long list. If our culture is frayed, I think you and I believe that democracy may well be part of its casualty. But that's not the only casualty. That's not the only loss. Basic decency and kindness and respect for neighbors and compassion towards those in need would also be great losses. Gloria Steinem said, empathy is probably the most radical of human emotions. Empathy probably is the most radical of human emotions. How about Anne Frank? I look to her as well. Tuesday is coming up for the International Day of Remembrance of the Holocaust, this coming Tuesday. Anne Frank wrote in her diary, how wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. Thank you, Anne Frank. To improve the world, as Anne Frank wanted us to do, requires preparation. It requires interior work as well. It's a spiritual job, as 12-step folk well say. You know, doing Doing work or sobriety, as many people say in the 12-step program, is an inside job, a spiritual discipline. Otherwise, our meeting is just another one of these drive-by events in our culture. Doing the inside work is my second point. And that's why I turn to poetry today. I find that poetry is often a door opener for this interior work that we need to do. It kind of does an inside job on us. 20th century poet Richard Howard, who translated over 150 books in his lifetime, once said, "I do think that many people who say they don't like poetry like the things that poetry can do. They just don't know that it's poetry that's doing it." I read at least one poem every day. I'm not bragging. It's just something I kind of must do. I'm compelled to do. And then I move to the comics. I want to read a poem every day as part of my discipline. Interior work. I think we all must do it. And we all probably do have, whether we're quite conscious of it or not. We may well be doing that interior work. Often I've told social activists in our church that activism must include prayer. Actually, prayer or something parallel to it must precede activism. In the civil rights struggle of the 60s, and a good many of us are thinking about it, we realized that those who would participate in nonviolence would be asked to sign a pledge. I mean, a document, a written paper, piece of paper, and they needed to sign on the dotted line after they took the training. And if they couldn't do it, if they couldn't really sign it, they would be a liability on the front line. For example, the goal in Birmingham and Selma was not so much victory, but justice seeking and reconciliation, and walking and talking in the manner of love, sacrificing personal wishes. So there's a lot of interior work for those who did it, even though the goal was really far, far distant. And it required, as we all know, many more sacrifices. And I'm wondering, maybe you are too, if more sacrifices will be required in this time. More sacrifices will be required, yes, even of us, to support those who have few rights and who have few voices that are heard. I guess this is my question I thought of. This is your homework assignment. It's a yes or no question, but you have to explain your answer. So it's, you can answer privately or take it home tonight. Is Minneapolis St. Paul becoming the new Selma, Birmingham, Alabama struggle? Explain your answer. Here's the essay question. Compare and contrast 1926 Germany with 2026 USA. Use documentation, narrative, facts, and don't forget the photos. That's what's on my mind these days. More sacrifice may be required beyond our comfort levels of existence. One undocumented Hispanic friend of mine said, "Okay, we can be deported, but please don't kill us." That's a direct quote. That pledge of the 60s said enlistees must refrain from the violence of fist and tongue and heart. And some couldn't sign it. I mean, you get the idea. I'm reading verbatim words and phrases directly from the pledge form of the Alabama Christian Movement for Human Rights from over 60 years ago, to illustrate that making this a better world really requires what the Buddhists called mindfulness. In other words, doing the interior work. We must love the world so much, like an Anne Frank, and embrace it, stay in it, pass down the values that in the past have saved the world, even while the much heralded notion of success was not in our sights. And the work doesn't necessarily have as its goal winning. That's often how we think of it. It's the booth. It's the November 3rd, is it, this year? The midterm elections. No, it's the journey, the caravan. When people call me sometimes in despair about a headline that I miss the night before or the early morning hour, I said, okay, now repeat after me 3 words. Here's the Steve mantra. Be not surprised. So whenever you see this thing that you didn't predict and it's just blowing you away, say the word, be not surprised. We don't know what Monday morning holds for us or others, but when you get the news, be not surprised. Maybe the words of Charles Dickens, Unitarian, maybe the words of Charles Dickens should be our daily mantra. Have a heart that never hardens, a temper that never tires, and a touch that never hurts. Have a heart that never hardens, a temper that never tires, and a touch that never hurts. And then finally, and this will sound like bragging, but I just do it because I have to, and also my mother told me to do it. I'm holding up here an old diary, and it goes way, way back, and I could bring the whole stack, and I did show the congregation in Baton Rouge the whole stack of diaries. They were kind of amazed, and then they would come up and say, well, on that day when you came to our family and we were in such turmoil and so-and-so died, did you write that in your diary? And I said, well, let's just find out. And then I opened it up and I read the entry. That's what my mother wanted me to do. It was actually, it was in high school. Santa Claus brought me a diary. And it's probably something she bought at Kmart, these things that were printed and created in China or maybe Japan, who knows where. And I kept the tradition and have kept it for my entire ministry ever since my teen years. So yes, it is quite a stack, but it's something that I must do. And there's another reason I do it too. I have an alibi for every day. Recording thoughts at the end of the day is a discipline for me. And yes, I will write about you, and I'll write about the cold and the winter preparation and all of that, and somebody who lost his life in Minneapolis, St. Paul yesterday, and watching my dreams and paying attention to the unconscious and jogging through the subdivision. It's going to be cold, but I'll be jogging. And I do it 3 days a week, and I'm not bragging. It's just that I must do it because I know I can give you instances and won't elaborate, but I can tell you times that I was about ready to send an email when I was going to tell so-and-so what was up, period. And I'd come back after a run and look at it and say, oh, I am so glad I did not send that one out. And there are letters like that too. Haven't put the stamp on the envelope. Thank goodness I never sent that one out. The wisdom of Miss Manners I take quite seriously. I'm afraid I found her way too late in life, but it is certainly worth looking at. And now, one more reference. Jeremy Strong, who was in Succession, and he just was featured recently in the play, a Broadway play, The Enemy of the People, put that little quotation. He played in the TV, I think the HBO series Succession, but on stage he had this little quotation. Why write love poetry in a burning world? to train myself in the midst of a burning world to offer poems of love to a burning world. His inspiration. So that line underscores that point today, to prepare ourselves with intentionality, to deepen ourselves in the field where we decided to meet others. I so appreciate Katie Ferris sharing with her struggle with cancer, but it was words not just for those who are recovering, those who are getting such news, because there are so many who have faced such news, but it was an inspiration for her to sit down and start writing, to train myself to find in the midst of hell what isn't hell. Why write love poetry in a burning world? Just to offer poems of love in a burning world. This morning you've heard a little of this and you've heard a little of that, but only 2 points. Beyond the wrongdoing and the right doing, there is a field, and we must meet one another in that field. Being together is unique unto itself. There's no replacement for it. And the second point, we have a responsibility to work on the interior of our lives, to do something of quality. Call it a spiritual discipline, call it what you will, but you must do it. And it must be practical. As Thich Nhat Hanh said, the purpose of washing the dishes is washing the dishes. And we must do it. We have individual and collective work to do, good people. You know it better than I, especially in these times. And we live to be needed by others. Yes, this world surely is in need of us. Thank you.
Thank you for that message. It's what I needed to hear this morning. Community Church Unitarian Universalist is a self-sustaining congregation. Members and friends' generosity help us do the sacred work of bringing justice, spirituality, and compassion to our community and beyond. You can give online, by text, or in person this morning. See the information in the back of your order of service for giving by text. Please remain seated for our offertory hymn, number 56, Bells in the High Tower.
With much to accomplish and with gladness in that prospect, we take to the road and we seek what lies ahead. Onward with memories of yesterday, onward with hearts of promise, onward with steadfast love of today. We are a people of time, this era, and for us to live now is to dare and do it well.
Please stand as you're willing and able for our closing hymn number 93, To Mercy, Pity, Peace, and Love, and remain standing for the extinguishing of the chalice. Please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice, printed in your order of service. We extinguish the chalice here. Guide your way until we are together again. Please join us for refreshments and conversation in the fellowship hall.